cold outside in beautiful Seguin, Texas, and we got Javier Treviño on the podcast today. And we're just going to let it fly, and whatever happens, happens. So welcome to Seguin, Texas.
Thanks for having me. It's good to be here. I haven't been to Seguin, like I was telling you earlier, in a very, very long time. I think the last time I was here, I was driving through it as opposed to just staying here. The good thing about Seguin, it's still got that old school charm.
Yeah.
There's not, they say that San Antonio is a big city from it means it says a lot, because San Antonio still, to me, has that old charm in the parts of the go.
Yeah. Seguin is, for those that don't know, kind of just an outer city of San Antonio, but it's got its own kind of culture, it's its own thing. But it's a neat place, and New Braunfels is just right around the corner. So it depends what you're into on where you want to go, because you could get into whatever you want.
And nobody will hear you. You can get into anything, you can get into anyone, and you can do just about anything you want. Nobody will hear you. And you do have the snake farm not far from you, so you can go and visit those fun reptiles out there.
Yeah. Well, I'm excited to have you here, Javier, because obviously we're here to talk to entrepreneurs, business owners of all different fields, and hear your story and your journey for what you do. And for those that don't know what Javier Treviño, I mean, you're known around the world.
I wouldn't say I'm known, but we have clients that are definitely, blessed to say that they're, all over the world. We have clients, in Colombia and Belgium, Germany, and Sweden, Geneva. We also have them in Canada, London. So super thankful.
How is that for you to say that? How does that make you feel inside to just say what you just said?
It makes me feel great. And I didn't start this company and seek that out in terms of, we want to make clothing accessible to people all across the world. It was just making something that we really like and can get behind, and then eventually it just grows from there, and it grows organically. And it grows that way because the area that we're in, which is the middle of downtown San Antonio. And so with that, you're going to get all these people that are coming in for various conventions, from different regions of the country, doing different things of work, and in terms of the Cattleman Society, the Golfer Society, the Nurses Society. You always have something going on throughout the year. So it's bringing in all these types of people from different parts of the world in the United States at any given time, along with people who are vacationing, people who are coming in for their private, reasons of work. And so we're fortunate enough that we have a large window space that we can kind of capture people's attention by them just walking by in front of it, or kind of seeing it from, an angle. We've got, I want to say it's 9 giant retail windows that we keep clean. The lights are on all day, all night. So we do get that attention whether we're open or not. And that's done on purpose for that reason. But yeah, it's, putting, colors in our clothing and putting, nice craftsmanship to it. So it's getting people's attention. It's not just the windows that are open and the art on the walls. So when they do come in, it's more magnificent when they come and see it in person, as opposed to just through the window. Art doesn't meet up to what they think in their mind once they finally come into the store.
And before we get too far along, tell everybody what it is you do in the clothing market.
So I own a clothing company that designs.
That's so sweet.
Guayaberas. I thought that was an 18-wheeler.
Just coming straight at us.
In the other room.
For those that don't know, the podcast studio, we're located at an airport. So every now and then you get a nice little bit of noise back there.
That was a plane taking off.
I know.
In back of us. in front of me.
So tell us again. You're in the clothing.
So I specialize in designing Guayaberas. I've got a small clothing company, and I've got a store. Above that store, we've got our studio.
What's a Guayabera? You were telling me about it earlier.
You know, a Guayabera shirt was a timeless and classic shirt that a lot of our grandpas and our tios have been wearing for a long time. They're very big in the Hispanic culture, but even, more so if you're growing up in Texas, we all, regardless if you're Hispanic, we all wore them. Our dads did, our uncles did, our grandfathers did especially. And so they're the classic button-up shirt with the 4 pockets, one on each side as far as the left breast, right breast, and then lower directly below those pockets as well, equaling 4. And then you have your pleats or your elaborate designs that went up and down the left and the right side of the shirt. And once I describe that, most people are probably thinking, "Oh, I know exactly what those shirts are," and that's what we specialize in making here in Texas. They don't go anywhere, and people wear them regardless of your background with their jeans and boots and a hat.
What's really cool about those shirts is when you're out in other parts of the country and you see somebody wearing them, then you can almost identify them with being either Cuban or more
The Latin descent.
more than likely they're going to be from some part of Texas or Mexico or California, and so you can you know what they're or where they're from, and
Sure.
it's an instant conversation piece. But not all Guayaberas are instant conversation pieces as much as your Guayaberas are instant conversation pieces.
They tend to stand out a little more than our grandpas would wear. And what I say is we design Guayaberas that are on an elevated, note, and they're just like the ones we used to wear, but at the same time they're a little more elevated, where there's more embroidery, there's more elaborate designs on the pockets, on the shirt itself, and then now we're doing them on the collar. We do them on the back of the shirt as well. So we're just kind of stepping it up a notch, because at the same time, the Guayaberas that we grew up with are not the same that my daughter or our kids are going to be growing up with. We are now setting the standard for the newer generation to wear these. And we're having a lot of fun doing it. It's very artistic. It's no different than having art on the wall than now you can put on your body. And in our store, you can literally walk into our and get measured. You can pick out through a copious amount of fabrics, from solid colors to printed fabrics. You've got a whole different charts of embroidery patterns. You can literally pick out whatever design you want, going up and down that shirt. Or if you want to go with something classic, you can go just the pleats, going all the way down to picking the buttons and the thread that we use to put the shirt together. Long sleeve, short sleeve. So it's something that can definitely resonate with people. It's a gift that definitely keeps on giving if you decide to give it to somebody. And even if you decide to get married, and these are shirts that again are that they set memories, and they really they resonate deep with a lot of people.
Man, I didn't know that y'all were doing the collars, buttons, and I've seen some of them.
Yeah, we started doing those recently again, just to kind of step it up. It's you're only as good as your last project, and it's important that we keep going and going and going and pushing those boundaries of the Guayabera. And it's not about just pushing and putting these things together. It's making sure everything balances well with each other. And so, a lot of our other Guayaberas that we do are with loud printed fabrics with different themes, with, Dia de los Muertos or cowboys or horses or a lot of animals. But again, there's always going to be a sense of balance or equality in terms of everything, just sitting, it's not side by side, but everything weighs out.
Did you have an artistic background, or how did you get into having such, they call it just an eye for design? And it's not, there's a lot of people that make clothes. There's a lot of people that do a lot of things, but you stick out to me as somebody that has the eye. You just have it.
It's not just, drawing things and putting things together. I try to see things finished. And I bring up balance a lot, because to me, there's got to be a balance system with everything that I put together. When I look at fabrics, I try to see fabrics already done in the shirts that we put together, whether it be an Oxford, a Guayabera, or a classic button-up short sleeve shirt. I try to visualize it already finished, and I've been blessed to say that I can see it finished. And so when I draw it based on what I see in my mind, that finished product, it comes out, better than what you anticipated. And that's how I've managed to grow. It's, not being afraid to put things together that I think go well with each other. Using a bit of juxtaposition, but at the same time, it's a balanced system. And it works well. We're living in kind of dark gray times right now, and it's important that you use vibrant colors in a lot of things that we do. But at the same time, still using that monochrome, foundation, which for me is, black and white is something that I love to use. It's timeless, in black and white. It's for weddings. It's for, quinceañeras. It's for funerals. It's for celebrations. It's for Easter. It's for holiday. The white and black is just timeless as well. But now bringing into color, for the different seasons, it really resonates well with the different parties that wouldn't normally wear our shirts.
That is a lot of information and so much good stuff just about a shirt. And the amount of creativity and customization on the shirts that you come up with is something else. What has been some of the favorite Guayaberas that you've made over the years?
Oh goodness, there's quite a bit. The ones that have really, I'd say, got the attention of other people, got us in the Texas Monthly last year was some of the black ones with red roses on it. Some solid black cottons with red threads and roses for the pockets. We did one recently, last year for the Spurs. So Airmark is one of our clients, and so we do sell our Guayaberas at the actual Frost Center in the Spurs gift shop. And so they've contacted us to do several different designs for Hispanic Heritage Month that they'll sell in the shop. And those I'm proud of, because it represents a lot. At the same time, it's being, people who purchase those in terms of the company like Airmark, that says a lot when they come to the
That is badass.
So those are the special ones. But then again, the other ones that mean more than that are the ones that people come to me because they want that shirt or that Guayabera to represent somebody that they perhaps lost along the way, or they want them to remember a certain day in their life. And so those also are the ones that probably mean the most.
Damn. Yeah. I've got a custom. You call it a Guayabera, you call it a Guayabera. Mm-hmm. I call it a Guayabera.
That's right.
And that's the difference. That's what's nice about San Antonio is that cultural mix that we have. But I've got one that is real sentimental to me. The thing that's badass about Javier is you could go in and say, hey, look, I have this awesome pair of jeans that just fit like a glove. And I said, man, can you make these exact same thing? And he measured them out and made them exactly the same, except one of my projects was a restaurant called Miguel's, and it took me 3 years to build it. And it knocked me on my ass. But as we were getting closer to the opening, I was like, man, Javi, I need something badass to wear. And so he made me the jeans with the Miguel's logo and then a custom Guayabera with the Miguel's logos on the arms on it.
Yeah,
and
I remember.
I do have I have a decent amount of nice clothes because my neighbor up in Lubbock is a clothier, and I know Javier. But every time you wear these Guayaberas or something from Divide and Conquer denim, that is when you get the most compliments, the most attention, and the shirts that just. And I was talking to Javier earlier about, again, every time you see somebody with a Guayabera for some reason, there's just a connection there. And you said something, why do we make that connection with these shirts?
So, one of the main reasons I make Guayaberas is because it's not just a trend that, as far as a fashion, an iconic shirt that it's been around for a long time. It really is. And that, it is that. But it's more than that. And I say that because what it is, it's a representation of how a lot of us grew up. And what I was telling Tommy earlier is that when you see somebody wearing a Guayabera, regardless of you're on vacation or you're in your hometown or you're at work, it really brings back a lot of strong memories, at least for some people. So they can be very nostalgic. Memories that kind of flash back in your head that, were almost good times or better times or that one time that you remember. And that's what I was saying earlier, for me, when I see somebody wearing them, it's their flashbacks of my grandpa teaching me how to make salsa or, listen to music or him and I watching, Discovery Channel lions, eat zebras or whatever. Because I remember those memories distinctively. I really do. But those are the things that come up, my grandmother always making Jello for all the grandkids. You know, when we see somebody, and I'm not talking about these that we sit there and resonate on them, but they're just these quick, small little these memory jolts, as I want to say, that when we see somebody, and that's what nostalgia is. It really is. It's just remembering, you know, another time, you know. And for me, when you see these shirts, and for a lot of people, they are exactly that. You know, they can bring back another a life that you were in. Yeah.
That point right there resonates with me so strongly just because of the fact that every time I even hear the word Guayabera or see one, it reminds me of my dad when I was like 6. And it's every time without thinking about it. And it's interesting that you brought that up. Have you seen that? Is that what a lot of your customers say as well? It's just always bringing up memories.
Yeah. You know, one of the biggest things when people come in as a new client, we ask, where did you hear about us? Where did you, you know, how did you find out about us? And a lot of the times I'll ask somebody, or a friend of mine was wearing one of yours, or, you know, I was referred by, you know, Mr. Smith or Mr. Hernandez. And, you know, yes, we hear a lot as far as, you know, it's not just, it brings back memories, but we're getting compliments on it. People will stop us. People will ask us, and that translates into what I just talked about. You know, people aren't going to share their deepest memories with you right off the bat, but they are going to say, "Hey, I like that shirt. Where did you get it?" If it strikes a chord with them,
It's almost like a tattoo without the tattoo. That's how strong that these Guayaberas are for people. And I mean, and I say that because I designed and built an entire building with everything I would have got on my body, trying to avoid getting tattoos. Then I got a Guayabera shirt with Dia de los Muertos stuff, skulls. Well, I held off. I finally got some tattoos, but I was trying to take the place of it. But you guys, I mean, that's just what it sounds like to me. What on this podcast we're talking about? You've given us a lot of background on the shirts, and you've got some other, or the Guayaberas. We don't just call them shirts.
Yeah, you know,
you can't.
Even when I design, you know, I don't put just shirts. When I'm designing new concepts that need to go upstairs for my team to execute and to make them, you know, we don't put shirts. We take the time to spell out Guayabera.
Yeah.
And my team, they're wonderful, wonderful ladies, and you know they pronounce Guayabera as it should be pronounced.
Yeah.
And so they are the same way when it comes to any notes that need to be taken. But we don't ever put just this shirt.
There is that.
We take the time for the syllables to be Guayabera. Was it 4 syllables? Yeah, for that to be spelled out. Yeah.
You can't. You cannot call it a shirt. It's just that's
not giving it justice.
No.
No.
Not at all.
Yeah.
What else did I have? So you've been selling the Guayabera 4 syllables, as they do in South San Antonio. We call it a Guayabera. Mm-hmm. The white guy calls it a Guayabera.
Yeah.
But how did this come about?
So I started, you know, a small company in Los Angeles where I used to live at back in 2011, 2012. And we were focusing on making aprons, and that's all it was. And I would go down to Santee Alley or Fashion District, you know, which is right there and hand in hand with each other. And I'd go pick out denims or go pick out textiles, you know, buy them a couple of years at a time. And then I would had one seamstress that lived down from me when I lived in LA. It was a lady that worked at a alteration store, and so I had drew out this apron, and she was the first one that kind of helped me make these aprons out of just using different denims and different fabrics for the pockets and for the straps. And so they were kind of these fun little $100 aprons that I was making. And I'd start knocking on restaurant doors in Manhattan Beach and kind of just introducing these $100 aprons to start selling. And we started selling them. But then shortly afterwards, 2013 is when I moved back to San Antonio. And the Pearl District was kind of just being put up, and I think it had been open for about a year before, maybe 2 years. And my brother had told me that, you know, that you should maybe try doing the apron thing down over here because the restaurant scene was kind of starting to change a little bit. And that's why I had started doing the apron, because in Los Angeles at that time, the restaurant itself started to shift gears. And what I mean by that is that
the restaurant industry,
the whole restaurant the way it was laid out. At that point in the mid 2000s, Cooking Channel, before that was Food Network, you had all these chefs, Emeril Lagasse, Bobby Flay, and they had these cooking shows. And so even though culinary's been around for a long time, Paul Bocuse, or, the French culinary, all these awesome culinary guys for years, 60s and 70s. But for me, for some reason, it wasn't until mid 2000s that you started to see this culinary boom, like these chefs becoming like movie stars, like with these different television shows and these competitions on television. And these Iron Chef was already going for a while, but it wasn't as popular as it was until that time period. And so I say that because you started seeing the restaurants themselves. When you'd walk into a restaurant, you'd start to see the back of the house, whereas before the front of the house and back of the house were two separate entities. And so you'd walk into
open
a restaurant,
kitchen.
that's when the open kitchen was introduced.
Yeah.
And you started seeing these movies and all these things kind of making the chef. And people agree with me. At this time, Culinary Institute started blowing up with tuition. I want to be just like that. I want to be just like that. And I want to be making $100,000 as soon as I get out of culinary school. That's how it works. I'm going to do that. And so it just and it was all thanks to, all of this that was going on, and I was living in LA during all of this time, and I saw it firsthand, it being developed, and I saw the restaurants switching from, you'd never see the line cooks, you'd never even hear them, but then now you'd walk in and they'd all be in sync by wearing the same apron, or they'd be wearing the same, button-up kitchen shirt, because you see a window, not a huge one, but a window with just, 8, 4, 6 dudes, guys and girls working back there in sync, but as before you never would.
What an observation.
And
Carry
that's
on.
That's why we got me to start doing these aprons. And that's, again, going back to when I moved back to San Antonio, and we started selling them to different restaurants around here. I had my contacts that I'd go through, my buddies like Jason and Stefan, and all, great guys, and they were very receptive to what I had to sell. And they gave me a chance, and they started buying aprons from me firsthand right when I got here. And then, I worked at a restaurant called Bohannon's downtown, which is a phenomenal restaurant. And Scott is the GM, who's a wonderful man, and he let me run my business on the side and let me still bartend, and get classically trained by Sasha Petrowski out there. And so I was able to still run my side business, but at the same time, still put food on the table, go to work at a fine dining restaurant, and still get home, by midnight and do my thing,
So that's how you started tiptoeing into your own business.
Yeah.
You were bartending at Bohannon's, which for those that don't know it's one of the top 3 premier steakhouses in San Antonio. I was supposed to go there last week with my son for his birthday.
Very good restaurant.
But
it's number 2, I think, in Texas.
I love that they chop their own ice cubes for their old fashions, and man,
we
it's
did
just,
a lot of that.
and they're huge, and it's just cool. So you tiptoed into your own business, which is what I talk to people about. There's a lot of people that want to get into working for themselves, and they say, well, how do you do it? And Javier just now explained to you how I would suggest getting into your own business if you so desire.
That's not, a lot of people can go the easy route and try to go get a loan and try to, and go borrow money from a family member, or, and that's, I'm not going to say it is easy, right?
There's no easy route.
But what we did, or what I do is, I still had, other bills to pay, and it wasn't a lot, but it was just, I had a life that still had to go on, and that's where that self-sacrifice comes in, because there's going to be many along the way, but that's where that first one starts to test you and says, are you really wanting to do this?
Mm-hmm.
Because if you are, you're going to be working a lot longer hours. It's not going to be picking your own days to come off and on, and that's what it was. It was working, bartending, and then, going to do my thing as far as working out of my house, because I didn't have my first store then. And then I left, Bohannon's, and I just started doing my own thing for a while, but I realized I wasn't ready yet. So then, literally a few months after that, I went and got in contact with another friend of mine named Steve. Steve owns a bunch of bars called the Mahoney Group, and they own, bars all across San Antonio. He knew I had just left Bohannon's, and he knew that people who leave Bohannon's are extremely well trained, and it's one of the you're classically trained by people from New York when they leave this restaurant, and that's how I was. So I got picked up by him, and he again let me do my thing. At that time, I was about a year and a half working at his group and his bars, and I opened my first store, my own brick and mortar. And he
Where was that at?
That was 2112 South Presa. So that was going to be down South Presa, outside of Southtown, which is going to be outside of that artsy area of downtown.
So at that time, you opened your first store, and you're working for the Mahoney Group, and then that's where you're talking about where people start to
We
feel
started to get noticed. Yeah.
and their self-sacrifice.
Everything started kind of happening. And it wasn't, we weren't, at the pace that we're at now, but it started to be noticed by people with money, started to stop at our shop and shop with us. And we were able to pay the rent, and at the same time have money left to eat. But I was still bartending, because bartending, is great money. I mean, and especially working at that group, we're talking about, at that point, $1,500 a week which is for bartending. That's not bad. It's, it really isn't. And so I was doing that, and then it got to the point to where we just didn't have to do that anymore. And so it was right before the pandemic. It was November of 2019. And that's when I made say, okay, I had just had my daughter. My daughter was born a month before that, on the 3rd in October. So I was like, let's all right, let's do this. So I stopped at bartending, and it was the best thing ever. It was, everything happens for a reason. It was at the old store, and then pandemic started, and then I got the attention of one of the gentlemen who owns a lot of the downtown development here in town, and he already had knew who he didn't have any of our shirts yet. Now he's got about 75.
That's all.
He's got a lot. He's got a lot. But he knew. I reached out to him, and he said, "You know what? We've got people who are just freaking out during the pandemic right now. We have people who have been here for 30 years, and they're moving out. I can make you a deal." And I was like, I can't afford that, something, because this was in the heart. It's where I am now. He made me a great deal, and we were able to work something out. So over the next 3 years, it kind of got back to where it needed to be at market. But at the same time, he gave me that chance. And that first year, even with the pandemic, we grew by about 3 times, because we were making masks at that time. We were able to stay open through our attorneys by staying essential with all the signage and the paperwork, because we were doing all the masks with filters, and we were selling to electrician companies, hospitals, the everyday consumers. We were selling a lot of masks.
Oh, I remember y'all were doing custom masks.
We sold about 3,000 masks.
Holy crap.
And
all custom?
Oh, yeah. Well, custom to where we were, because what it was, we were getting ready for Fiesta, and we had all these fabrics to get ready for our Guayaberas for Fiesta, but that all got put on hold. And so we learned that we could basically, with the amount of fabric you're using for one mask, we use 3 yards for one men's, between like a large and like an XL shirt, 3 yards. Well, for 1 yard of fabric, you're getting, I don't know, X amount of masks, and you're getting, same amount for one shirt and 1 yard. So there was a lot of money to be made. And I didn't realize that till afterwards, until I started seeing it, because the way it started, somebody asked us to make masks. I said, we're not, because the pandemic, we were starting to hear about it in New York, but it wasn't here yet. So I had some friends, my buddy Albert, he was over there. He said, "Hi, Javi, it's getting really bad, and they're starting to wear a mask out here." I was like, "Mask?" He said, "Yeah." And again, this is before we started to take it, we were starting to hear about it in the news. It wasn't here in Texas yet. So about a week later, we made about 45, 50 masks. They sold in about 20 minutes. 15 minutes.
Holy
Yeah,
shit.
super fast. So I told my seamstress at the time, because we had one, I go ahead and make 100 masks. So she made 100 masks, and they had the VINs, they had the elastic, they were nice. They sold in 30 minutes.
Holy
30
crap.
minutes at the store. So I said, okay, I need you to do 100 masks. So when she finished it, this was the next week, so she had 100 masks. I took 20 of those just to keep in the store, and the other 20 to keep online, the other 80 to keep in the store. So we sold out the 80 in the store, again, another about 25, 30 minutes. And we had the other 20 because people were starting to order them online. Because I was letting people order, like, I want that spider on mine. I want, because they had all these different intricate fabrics that had all these different designs. So I was letting people pick, like, because it was literally just putting the fabric pattern mask on everything, cutting everything out. We had it down to a routine. And yeah, that's kind of, I forgot where I was going with that, but yeah, it's that's what led us to go into the new store and let us make money. And then we slowly, because we're a higher end store, we started to appeal that the class that was buying our clothing, they quickly got back to it. You know, when it came to development, construction, that kind of kept on going throughout the pandemic. And so a lot of our clients are developers, or, you know, they're contractors, or they're attorneys, or they're judges. So their work quickly had to slowly get back to it, you know, whereas other people who are working for private companies, they kind of, like, you know, didn't have to move as quick to go into it. And so we went back to selling masks to getting back to selling more shirts, and then, of course, selling jackets. But that's what got us through that, and then got me rolling into my first like store, as far as or my second store, the location where I'm at now.
How is the importance of having a location in that spot been for you? They say the 3 rules of business are location, 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 and I feel like you've got a good spot down there.
It's great. I love that spot. You know, we meet so many people. I meet about 75 new people a week, and it's not an exaggeration. And during a spring and during summertime, it's probably a little more than double that. And it's just people coming in, just seeing what we're about. That store has been really really good for us. It allows us to be versatile in terms of, you know, the highway's right there, jumping from Midtown to going to the north side, to you're taking care of all these people who not only live and work downtown, which is a whole nother new set of like empty nesters that are moving downtown, to the people who are visiting, you know, the people who are there for the convention. So we're in the mecca of it all. And then throw in the fact that you've got the Majestic, you have the Tobin, and you have the Frost Center. So anybody who performs, they come into our store, which leads me, that's how we have Bert Kreischer as a client. Jake Owen comes into our store. You know, we have people, and it's not because we ask them, we pay them. It's because they were walking by on their downtime in between a show, and they just happen to stumble upon us, and then that's it.
What is Bert's last name?
That's Kreischer.
What happened when Bert Kreischer came and shopped at your store?
So Bert is a good guy. When he came in, he was just by the pure sense of walking by, and he literally just did a reverse, and he walked by, did a reverse, and walked in. I never forget, he had this like a Starbucks like cup, and we don't allow anybody with food and drink, because I've got lions in there, I've got bears, I've got all sorts of expensive animals in there on the walls and our clothing. So we don't allow any food or drink in there. I'm real strict about that. I just am. I don't care how it comes off, but yeah, if you break it, you're gonna buy it. So we don't allow any drinks in there. But I saw this man come in,
and
this
you
guy,
have no clue who he is.
Yeah, well, he looked familiar, and I've seen his show, but I wasn't. And this is 2025 now. This is like 2021, 2022, and so he comes in. I was about to say, "Oh, sir," but he came with like 8 fucking people. There was like an entourage of comedians behind him, and I was like, "Oh, sir," like, "Oh, wait a second, I know this guy. All right, keep my fucking mouth shut. Don't say a fucking word." And he's just like, and I see him, and he's just like looking around. It's like, "Oh, this place is badass. This place is cool. It's awesome." I was like, "Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome in. If you have any questions, yeah, man, what's up, bro?" And he's just really sweet, really nice guy. And he introduced himself, and I was like, "That's who it is." And I can show you. I took a lot of video of that, on my phone, and him trying a bunch of clothes on and jackets on, and you know, he bought, I want to say 2 or 3 shirts at that time. He bought shirts for his whole staff, or all the comedians. So he left with like 12 shirts. They leave. He comes back. He sends his assistant Pete, which is another really nice guy. I love Pete. Sends Pete back in. He's like, "Hey, Bert forgot to ask you." He's like, "Do you want to go to the show tonight?" I was like, yes, I want to go. And the same thing happened. It's funny with the Rammstein guys, because those guys came in and they left, and like, "Do you want to go?" I was like, "Yeah, I want to go." But it happens all the time.
That's the best way to get invited to a show.
It's great. And the Rammstein, their shows are amazing. But going back to Bert, I said, "Yeah, I want to go." Like, absolutely. And so he puts me on the list. There's no tickets or anything. And this is when he was at the Majestic. Now he's grown. I mean, he's at the Frost. He's at way bigger centers now. And he put us on the list, my brother and I, as far as me and a guest. And he came out wearing one of the shirts that he bought.
Oh, shit.
And then, of course, everybody fucking went nuts because it's a Guayabera in San Antonio. Not just because it's Burt, but you're wearing a Guayabera. So they're just like, now he's in touch with us. Now he's he's really, it's like him coming out wearing a San Antonio Spurs jersey, which he does. It's the same thing. You're just like, dude, now, he's really in depth with us. Takes it off, but he does it by the buttons and throws it on the ground. Has a great show. And then after the show, he goes, go see my buddy Javier at Divide and Conquer Denim and Leather. And the next day we had a line.
Damn.
And then a week later is when the podcast came out because he mentioned us again. And that was pure organic love and same thing. And that just went on for a good 6 weeks afterwards of just new business, consistent new business because his podcast and the people that would listen to it every day, new people that would listen to it every day as far as that segment. So to answer your question, how far do podcasts go? I think they go pretty far. They really have a long arm.
It'll be interesting to see, but you were telling me about the traffic on your website even just after their
Oh, yeah. It went from, like I said, 40 to 80 people a day to about 940, 975 a day consistently for about, like I said, 6 weeks straight after that that podcast came out, which is that Two Bears in One Cave, I believe it's called.
I don't know what it's called, but it's just neat to see that stuff and see what happens with organic growth.
Yeah,
You've got another deal that I remember you talking about in your store, the Guayabera Fest for Fiesta.
Yes, that's my baby.
Did you start that?
I did. That's something I started 5 years ago. In fact, it'll be my 5th year doing it this year. I started doing that in the alley in the back of my store, in between my building and the building next door, using just about $1,000, $1,500 I put into it, and then using trading, favors that I had with some of the restaurants. Trading Guayaberas for kegs of beer. That's what it came down to. One of my good friends, Jeff Balfour, is one of the owners of a Southerly restaurant, and they own that restaurant group. And he was always very good about. Even my first store, I had a kegerator, and him and Les, the brewmaster, would always supply me with a fresh beer, craft beer that they would make. So to my store, for my clients would have while they're shopping. And so we kept that relationship going. And so the first, like I said, 2 or 3 years, just like college, I'd go in my pickup truck in the back of the restaurant, and he'd put in 3 kegs of beer and let me borrow the taps and give him a gift certificate, and that's how we did it. But now we've grown. We've got some nice sponsors this year and last year, and Dos Equis has always been good to us, and they were our sponsors last year. And we have another big sponsor, which is Centro, they're big on the downtown, and we have our name on our site on a few other sponsors that we want to have on board, so we can bring in some big music acts.
So what is Guayabera Fest?
Guayabera Fest is the celebration of the culture. It's I mentioned earlier about how it's embedded with a lot of people, how we grew up, and it's a shirt that's been around for a long time, and it's not going anywhere for a long time. And it's a celebration of the people who wear it, not just the Hispanic cultures, but everybody, Texas more or less. And so the way what it's been has always been about food, local vendors, and music. Those are the biggest things that we can take away from. And last year we really focused on the music, where we had a lot of big cumbia bands. This year it's going to be a little bit more of a higher end event, to where we're going to bring in some bigger musical acts. We are talking about bringing, it's the 3 C's and a T is what I presented to my sponsors. And the 3 C's and a T are going to be cumbia, country, conjunto, and tejano. And to me, those are the very genres of music of the people who represent the Guayabera in Texas. Those are the people who wear them and who have been wearing them, are those the same people who listen to that styles of music. So we're going to focus on those 4 genres, with country being the closeout of the evening. Playing under the stars at night, but we're looking to have some nice big acts.
What are the dates of that?
So Fiesta this year is going to be, I want to say it's April 26th going into May 2nd. I have to look that up. Don't quote me. I want to say it's between those 2 days. And then our festival is always the weekend before, that Saturday. So I want to say, I'll look at my calendar. I want to say the 18th or 19th, that Saturday, but I'll double check. Again, lots of cold beer, lots of great restaurants, lots of food trucks. We'll have probably around 100 vendors when it comes to arts, crafts, things that you can buy, take away for Fiesta, crowns, face painting.
Do y'all
things
have
for
y'all's
kids.
own metal?
No, we do our own poster. So I've designed a poster every year for the past 5 years with a local artist. She's great. And so I imagine they're going to do another one for us. But we do have our own poster every year. It's a Fiesta poster that we do sell over there. Metal, I love metals, but, there's so many of them, I try to do things a little bit different in everything I do in my clothing and my aprons and my jackets than now in my Fiesta event. It is going forward. We found out through my big sponsor, Centro, that it's going to be an official Fiesta event.
Damn.
Which takes about 2 years from what I understand to get approved, but we got it taken care of through Trish DeBerry, who's the lead at Centro. She's wonderful. She's been a great help in getting things expedited and taken care of for us, so we can celebrate this, make this big, because all the money that we raise goes back into the parks, goes back into the city. We don't pocket any of that,
Well, you talk about this stuff and it kind of rolls out of your mouth the whole time, like it's just been you're like, it's just been on cruise control. But what kind of work and effort does it take just to get, and that was what I was thinking while you were talking, what kind of work and effort does it take to even get any type of event at Fiesta? This is entrepreneur business that we're focused on.
All I can say is it's been hard work, but at the same time, I didn't seek this out. I'm very passionate about this project, which is Guayabera Fest starting back in 2019. I've always been passionate about it. And when the right people see that you're passionate about something, and these people are movers and shakers like Centro, they can make it happen. Again, I'm just very thankful that they were. So for the first year, I think I did it. I put about $1,500 into it. Every year after that, they have literally sponsored this, and I'm super thankful. It's been from the second and third year, small amounts. We didn't put very much, about $2,000, $2,500 into it tops. But again, we were still doing things the old-fashioned way. Me bringing kegs, the vendor setting up. We weren't charging any vendors to set up, because it's all about them making money. I got to be where I'm at by doing what they did, and people not charging me. And then now I have my brick and mortar, and now we take care of people all over the world. And so we want to give people that chance. But in order to get to where it is now, just keep on doing what I've been doing as far as making a difference in the culture. And that's what we learned, that this Guayaberas are in the culture. And so I just kept on doing it, and finally turned the heads of, like I said, people of Centro, and they were like, hey, we would love to have a Fiesta event. This seems like something that we can get behind. And I'm like, oh my gosh, what better partnership to have with downtown. And so it just went on from there. So to answer your question, is just keep on doing what I'm doing. And, I didn't go and say, hey, it should be this, because there's people who have great ideas. But I was in this position making these Guayaberas. Centro happened to be, holding my hand the whole time when I'm doing this growth, not just the festival, but just why I'm growing as a business. And they saw that. And I think we both realized it's the perfect partnership. And so... and then here we are now. It's only going to grow. This Guayabera Fest, we hope that other cities can see this. We have clients in Miami. One of my clients right now is Nick Perdomo. He owns Perdomo Cigars, big cigar company in Miami. And so we want to have these same festivals in Miami and New York, where the Latin community is big. There's no reason why we can't have the Guayabera Fest in other places to where people can celebrate that.
That would be incredible. And then at Guayabera Fest, is everybody wearing their favorite Guayabera?
Yeah. No, and that's the beauty about it. We don't. It's not about ours. It's not just about ours. We try to bring vendors in from other, whether it be the Fiesta store, whether it be the store in the Pearl. We just want Guayaberas there, and regardless of where you bought it, it's all about the people being unified by one shirt. And if you've ever, of course, if you've ever been to the festival, you haven't seen it, but being in one space where there's several thousand people wearing one type of shirt is probably one of the coolest things you've ever seen in your life.
That is
And
wild.
every style, from colors to buttons to, the pleats to, some people are wearing their grandpa's old ones. It's a very unique sight to see everybody wearing their stylish shirt, and everybody's just in the coolest mood ever. You know, everybody's just down to earth. Everybody's just
And
chilling.
they all have a story
Everyone,
about their shirt.
yeah. And almost all of them always start with my grandfather, my uncle. It's always begins that way, you know. You can't tell a story about a Guayabera without bringing up your past.
Damn, that makes me want to go bad.
It's gonna be. I'm super excited about it. Like I said, it's the food is gonna be epic. The music is gonna be unfucking believable this year. I'm really excited about that. Um, and the fact that we're raising money to go back into the park and into the city, you know, and the fact that we can actually call it a fiesta event. My goal, like I do with everything with my company, is to make it stand out and make it timeless and classic. And so that's what I'm doing with this festival. I want to be the biggest and the best out of the 200 things that are going on for a fiesta. I want this to stand out the most, and that's why my team. My sponsors want to have it like the weekend before, just so it stands out a little bit more. You know what I mean?
Damn.
Yeah.
That sounds like a good time, and I want to go. I don't do much fiesta at all. Maybe every few years, but I'm gonna have to just start doing
You're gonna
it.
need to.
I'm gonna have to.
We're gonna have a nice little section. We'll have. We've got some great clients, the Oak of Bernie, who are really good to us, and so we're gonna have them set up a nice little cigar lounge out there. So we'll be,
I got a couple buddies that wear your stuff. We'll just pile up in the van and
that's all
head
you
that
gotta do.
way.
That's all you got to do.
Man, that would be a good time. We'll call them out and we'll do it. What else I got? What else do we have for you? I wanted to talk about some business and some struggles and what it was like for you. You've done a great job already, so I don't know where to go with that. I mean,
Struggles, man. I think we've all had our fair share. You know, a lot of times people don't realize there's a lot of, I talk about sacrifice, but there's a lot that you give up when you're doing something like this, or to get to where we're talking about Guayabera Fest, or we're talking about, clients and Bert, but it didn't happen by me just, overnight, or me not doing anything to make it happen.
your brand didn't happen by half-assing anything either.
No, and there's times when, not to get into things, but I've lost people along the way, and they're close to me, and I didn't have a rent, at the store, and I had to stay one extra day just to make this, and then the following day go see somebody close to me pass. It's so little, and that's just one story, and then there's a few like that. So it's not all, is fun and games, and I think most people, entrepreneurs, make it look that way because that's we have to.
I know. I wonder if it's just because you don't want people to really know how hard it is.
Mm-hmm.
And shit, I could tell you stories all day long about one of my stories we were just blowing and going. We were doing apartment complexes all over Texas, and this was 20 years ago or 15 years ago, and these apartments were couple $100,000 a piece, right? And so you're busy, you're doing what you think is right. It'd be like you having shirts just flying out the door, and payrolls due, and I literally have like $50 in my bank account, and I'm owed a fortune. And I'm going, how in the hell is this gonna happen? And by God's grace, like a $400,000 check came in, and I was like, "Oh my God!" But sleepless nights.
And that's you say God's grace because it is, not to get too much in religion, but that's what happens. Same thing happened to me on that story that I just said, and somebody came in the next day and purchased some leather jackets that set me ahead when I was behind. And it was one guy, and it was sent probably for a reason.
Yeah.
For me to go sit and watch my sister die.
Oh.
Yeah. So it's not all, but at the end of the day, that's what business is. I don't sit here and sulk over it. That's what it comes down to, and that's what differentiates me and the guy next to us that are taking care of their family.
Mm-hmm.
I don't give a fuck about anything else but those two girls, and that's what it comes down to. And of course my mom, my brother, my dad, but nothing will stop me when it comes to taking care of them. And that's the mindset that you have to have. You have to have a mindset of of a, I'm not gonna say go-getter, but a fucking killer.
Yeah.
You know, and not in the literal sense, but in the sense that you will fucking stop at nothing to get what you need to get.
My one of my business coaches coined the term prey drive, and that's what you have to have, you know, killer prey drive instinct. And I mean, the second you take your foot off the gas, what happens?
Get taken advantage of, you get walked over, people will, you know, will take from you. You know, you never know. You know, in this, we've got a small staff, and they're great. You know, but in the day, there's still staff. You gotta watch your P's and Q's. You gotta watch your finances. You know, and nobody else is gonna monitor them for you except for yourself. And if you don't, if you keep on listening to out, you know, you should do this, you should do that, you should do this, you should do this. You know, then you know, without putting any of your own logic into it.
One of my favorite ways to lose my attention is when somebody comes up and they say, "You know what you should do."
No, I'm.
Soon as that comes out of their mouth, they have lost my attention.
In my mind, I've already said, "Get the fuck out of here," 3 fucking times. But depending on who they are, because a lot of times it'll come from people who walk into my store and they're like, "How come you don't make wallets? You should make a wallet. You know, you should really make wallets." Motherfucker, I can make wallets, but I don't give a fuck about wallets. You know what I give a fuck about? Guayaberas and jackets. You know, we could make wallets, but at the end of the day, like, you know, people don't. You can buy a wallet at you know, on Amazon.
Well, your passion goes a lot deeper than just being, again, a shirt. It's a Guayabera, and there is a story behind it. And a wallet that's tucked in your pocket that nobody can see doesn't give anybody but the single owner a story. So, but, you know, back to the Javier, you know what you should do. That rings differently with some of your clients that you have, though. If it's a client that's a big guy out of Miami or from here, and you'll listen.
Great point. So, no, you're absolutely right. We had a client come in in fact, I'm getting everything together for him right now. He was referred, and referrals are always they're the opposite of a red flag. They're the good flags you want to see when somebody comes in, especially with our store and our referrals. Reason being is because we start off at $240. Okay, that's our lowest thing. We sell T-shirts, you know, a great T-shirt brand that my buddy owns for about $45. But besides that, our price point is that. So when you have a referral and they want to get a few things, you listen. And so this gentleman comes in. He's like, "I love your jackets." He's like, "I've been looking on your website." He came in and tried a bunch of stuff on. And he was quick. He's like, "Javier, I need 5 jackets. I need 5 leather jackets, blazers." I said, "Okay, what are you looking for?" He goes, "I need blazers." I go, "What season? You want spring? You want fall? You want winter? You want? Tell me. You want summer?" He goes, "I need spring and summer." I go, "You like linen? You like seersucker? You like cotton?" He goes, "I want all of them, or no seersucker, but I want cotton and linen." I said, "Okay, here are the ones that we have." He goes, "What else do you have?" I go, "We don't have any more samples." Okay, get me this many samples, and then the leather he wants calfskin, the softest buttery leather, like cow, which is like it's calfskin, and deer, which is super soft, but the most buttery soft leather that you can get. So I've got all the sample swatches coming in from New York. They'll be here probably today, actually. And then I've got the leather swatches that are going to come in probably tomorrow or the next day. And so, yes, to answer your question, 100%. And it's not just the quantity. It's the fact that he wants something that we make already, which is your blazers and so and your leather jackets. But he's wanting a different, as far as fabric or a different textile to make it out of. So, yes, 100%. To answer your question, we'll definitely do that. It's the ones that say you should make a leather, you know, waist fucking, you know, fanny pack. Because you've got, they look at leather, or you should make an iPad, you know, case holder or something. And it's like, man, you know, and I love, you know, that your mind's thinking about me. That means something a little bit, I guess, maybe, but
maybe keyword maybe.
But you know, when's the last time you walked into a shop that makes custom shirts or leather jackets, and you're asking me to make this? Like take a minute to swallow it, what we're doing, and then, you know, don't just open your mouth. Be the guy that just stays quiet and seems like he's fucking off when you're really just taking everything in.
What I typically do is when they make those comments to me, I ask, "Is that what you do at your restaurant?"
Yeah.
Or is that what you do at your?
Yeah, exactly.
And then
Your restaurant, you was the same thing.
that's my fuck you without saying fuck you, and it probably hits a little harder than fuck you.
Well, at the end of the day, everybody needs to learn. It's
I don't know why they do that, but anyway, and I don't. And where I learned to stop doing that is when I was building my own house, and I'm doing it with my own hands. I couldn't afford to pay anybody, so I'm doing it. And everybody that came in had an opinion about what you should do, and that was where it starts. So if I'm ever invited to somebody's house they're building or any project, there is absolutely no it just doesn't come out of my mouth.
yeah. No, I mean, you just kind of smile and wave like the Pope, I guess.
Yeah. What's next on the horizon for you? You have any other things you're working on? What's a dream? Well, what's next? First of all, what's next in your mind?
A couple things. I started another company called Upland Sporting Goods. Right now, in my store, I guess about a little over a year ago, we started making these hunting Guayaberas.
I've seen them and they're badass.
They are. They're nice.
Badass.
And they're super unique in its own form to where they're the Guayabera, and then we put the shotgun padding or the recoil padding in the left or the right shoulder. I'm a big fan of Columbia shirts growing up, so what I do is I incorporate these vents in the top end of the back. So literally the whole back of the shirt on the upper half is vents.
That's good for September in Texas.
Then I put a cotton backing over it with a button, so it just kind of breathes in, and with the padding. So we've been selling a lot of those through our store, and then we've got a couple of wholesale accounts, some gun stores that buy them. And so I started another company called Upland Sporting Goods to slowly start to take away the hunting, because we also do bird belts. I started doing shotgun cases as well. And so we're slowly starting to take all the hunting attire and accessories from Divide and Conquer, my store, and we're going to start switching them over to be distributed through the Upland Sporting Goods. Everything's already established with Upland Sporting Goods. In fact, we have a website up and running, but I haven't the goal is to eventually start taking, even from our wholesale accounts, to start selling them through the Upland. Right now, everything's going to Divide, but yeah, that's the website. Everything's already up and running for Upland Sporting Goods, so that's a whole nother. And then start slowly adding different higher end, like we do shooting vests as well out of Italian leather with all the padding as well. We do shooting jackets as well that we do on that website also. So kind of develop a whole clothing line for the elevated hunter. And I say elevated, just the people who are going on these exotic hunts, and the ones who are spending money going on helicopter hunts or these private ranches.
What other products does Upland have?
We're going to do hunting Guayaberas, long sleeve, short sleeve. We do bird belts, monogrammed, without monogram as well. We do Upland hunting vests as far as Italian leather, and we do Upland hunting jackets, so with the sleeves as well.
Damn, that's sweet. I've seen some of the hunting ones, and they just instantly get your attention. And he'll put, I don't know what you call the suspender part of the Guayabera.
Yeah, the embroidery.
But man, it'll go straight down the chest, and
beautiful shirts.
Has an orange patch or tan, and they just they just stick out and they look good. If you want to look, if you want to show up looking your best at the hunting outing,
and a lot of these people, I grew up hunting, and where we go in the deer blinds and barbecue, and we wore just flannels. It wasn't it was a different way, but when I started going into my clothing brand and started to take in a lot of these hunters that would shop from us, I would listen to their feedback and feedback meaning that, hey, they weren't, hey, can you make this? They're using, some of them are using $20, $35, $40, $50,000 shotguns. They're going on these hunts that are, $50,000, $60,000 for a 2-3 day hunt. But then they're wearing a $200 vest, or they're wearing a $60 fucking vest, or they're wearing an $80 long sleeve hunting shirt. When sure it works, but at the end of the day, if you go to their car, their closet, their home, they're living in a $900,000 home, and they're driving Cadillac Escalades, or their kids are going to private schools. Why shouldn't they have a nice Italian leather vest? And my point being is, I didn't see any higher end, like we make high end leather jackets. I didn't see any high end hunting attire that was out there in terms of made with Italian leather, the Italian pebble grain leather, just things that would kind of correspond or match parallel with the their hunts and their guns.
Man, it's a good idea. And
Now, does a $300 shotgun still work like a $80,000 shotgun? Sure, but again, it's just having something that in that lifestyle, you just don't have people, using these kinds of guns and then going home to a $200,000 home. No, they're going home to their their expensive ass house.
Damn, no, it's a good idea and it looks great. Well, we put in an hour, which is good. I'm always worried about if I can make it 15 minutes.
We went pretty good, right?
Yeah, no, I enjoyed it. It's this place for me is it's just so odd because this was a thought that happened. It was me being, like many times in your business, really nervous to take a step. But I'm doing this to expand the tentacles of the reach for me, to extend your reach and the people that come on here. And it's wild that you can burn through an hour doing this shit and it go great. And this, like, the information that I've taken in from you, the way that you explain it is badass. The passion that you have for goods that you deliver is, it's the owner. You're the creator of that brand. And being that anybody can sell a Guayabera shirt. Well, we leave off shirt, but anybody can sell an article, but you are the brand. And to make your, and you, there's one thing that nobody can take from you, and that is the brand. And your brand, the reason you're here and I'm talking to you is because I feel like it is the pinnacle of what anybody will ever create with a Guayabera shirt with that. I keep leaving. Hey, no, Daniel, edit out the fucking shirt.
You're saying Guayabera. That's all that matters. You're not saying
He'll edit out the shirt. But and we haven't even really hit on the jackets that you make, but the just the quality that goes into them, the craftsmanship, the culture, the history. And that's why I even equate it to a tattoo, because that's so sentimental for each person that gets that inked on their body forever. Mm-hmm. And it's just, that's why you're here, because the passion for it is, you just can't find anybody more passionate
the respect
about it.
is mutual. You are an entrepreneur in your own right. Goodness gracious, seeing you do your thing, and I've seen you build your coffee, your beer house. I watched you build Miguel's, literally, and the story behind that. I don't know if you ever told that one. And the name behind that is a story, and that's a whole nother podcast in itself.
Yeah.
It really is. And I think I've told that story like about fucking 10 times in my store about my buddy who's opening up a Mexican restaurant called Miguel's. You know why it's called Miguel's, right? But I'll let you get into that later on.
Oh, it's great when I'm up in wherever I am, and I'll be they'll find out that I own Miguel's and be like, is that fucking story true? And I tell them, well, what's a white guy supposed to name a Mexican restaurant? And
it has so much meaning.
Yeah, and then they ask, all the rumors swirl. So for them to get the real truth, because they get bits and pieces.
Yeah.
But then when they get to actually piece it together, they're like, holy shit.
No, that's a story people can tell, their grandkids. That my best friend, man, he started this restaurant. You know what it was called? But to see, like I said, everything you developed, and it's even the Puerto Randas ones, man. That was recently. Then your food truck, having a camera to make it. You come a long way. You've built, a pretty big empire, and I have a feeling that you're not even close to being done.
I'm not. And sometimes it is it's a struggle. Sometimes revenue is oxygen, right? So, and you know that just as well as anybody. And so we've got some seasonal businesses, which it's taken all this time to learn. Like, I don't want a seasonal restaurant anymore. I want 12 months of consistent revenue. And I do want to grow, and I want to go to, probably 100 million a year. You're talking about these guys with the restaurant group, and when people say stuff like you don't recognize, you say restaurant group, I'm like, well, how can he connect me to this guy so I can hear how they got to this? And there's things that I'm doing right now to continue our growth, I guess, strategically, learning from all the lessons that I have the past 20 years to keep growing this and do it better and expand. And I think as an entrepreneur, we're destined to just keep growing. And one of the saddest things I see is these guys that have built businesses, and you know them because of the line you're in. A lot of older men wear Guayaberas. So you meet these guys and you meet the 65, 75, 80-year-old entrepreneur that has grown these businesses their whole life. And they've had that prey drive to just keep going and going. And now they're at that age where they're going, well, what's the point? But they've just been doing it, and now they've got to back down and back off.
Yeah.
And that's kind of a sad thing that I see with these guys, because they still have the fire in them to keep going, but they're like, I'm kind of at the end, and so it sucks. But
The mind and the body are two different things. I think we all know that. The mind's gonna just stay stronger than the body. The body's gonna say, "What the fuck, bro? You need to chill the fuck out." And that's what it comes down to. They're just two different fucking entities.
And I'm nowhere near where I want to be at the end of this journey. But that's one of my favorite questions, and you're gonna get it now. Is what is Javier's definition of success?
The definition of success?
Yeah, Javier's
Well, I
definition.
think-
What does success look like for you?
Success is my daughter eating and not wanting anything now, and then success later. It's two different answers. Success, that's success now. Success later on is my daughter wanting to be around me, as she gets older, and that's when I think that you're successful. And I say that because as they grow, now they're in the stage when my daughter's 5. That, will you play with me? Will you play with me? Will you play with me? Well, as she gets older, that's going to happen less and less and less as far as the question that she asked that same question. And so, success is my daughter and my wife just, always being around and then being happy and then wanting to stay, especially my daughter. That's when I think I know I've been a good father. You know what I mean? To me, that's what success is. Sure, and with that, and people will either agree with me or disagree with me, but money for me does make me healthy. And I don't mean in the literal sense, but I mean the sense that it's less stressful. I can pay for my $500 a month insurance just for me. So, I can watch, if my cholesterol need to be, but at the same time, to answer your question, what is success? Being able to just be with my daughter now, go to work and for my own company, and then later on, either do the same thing or retire, and my daughter just being happy, and my wife, taking her vacations. But success doesn't have like a dollar amount. It's even though money, yes, is the backbone part behind that, because again, it's being able to have a house, make sure the lights are on and the food in the refrigerator. But again, it comes more down to family.
Yeah,
that's the base, the core behind it. That's success. It's family, your wife, your kids, and nothing else. That's success.
I always tell my kids, I say, guys, if I'm ever getting on your nerve and you think you're not going to want to be around me or hang out, I need to know whatever it is I'm doing, because I see one thing that bothers me a lot is in families when, when kids don't talk to their parents or brothers and sisters don't talk. And I mean, I hate seeing it.
My brother and my father are that way.
Well,
and it bothers the fuck out of me. And it's my parents got divorced when I lived in California, and my brother saw that and he was like, "Oh, I'm gonna make my decision." And it's like, dude, you can't do that. That's them. Let them do their thing. But
I know.
But that's just kind of how that's how my brother is, and it sucks to see that. And
I'm a forgive and forget guy real quick. Like, dude, let's just smash this and get it on. And
smoke a joint and just move the fuck forward. That's and I think that's the key to most relationships. Especially your spouse, is just for forgiving and letting little things go. I'm not talking about big things, but the little things that don't mean that maybe some of us make a big deal about. Those are the things, and that could be associated with any relationship, with your best friends.
Yeah.
And I'm not spitting this out because it's just wisdom that I just came to me. No, I've talked to a lot of my clients who have made it. They're successful. They've got fucking 5, 6 kids. They live in $1 million homes. We have clients that own homes in Dubai. And of course I love to pick for their brains and ask them how they got there. And guess what? A lot of their answers are, it's fucking family. That's the key to it all. It's not money in the bank, even though that's the core behind it. The way they say it's family, because that's what it is. But at the end of the day, it's family, That's what most entrepreneurs would tell you why they're entrepreneurs, It's because so they can spend more time with. I know when my daughter gets older, goes to college, I want to be in the position where I can fucking, if it's gonna be out of state, guess what? We're buying a fucking house out of state.
I'm trying to make mine go to Texas Tech.
Well, that's the goal, would be here in
because
Texas.
I'm there. I'm there, and I want to be around her.
But we can't be. I'm the kind of guy that's like, where do you want to go to school? What do you want to eat? I'm probably gonna be the same person like, where do you want to go to college? Oh, that's perfect. Oh, okay. Well, guess what? We gotta go buy a fucking house. Even though it sounds like you're ridiculous, no, it's not. That's my goal in life.
Yeah,
that's my goal. You know what I mean?
That's a good goal. A good goal. You were featured in Texas Monthly Magazine in 2024.
Yeah, we got a call.
How did that happen?
I got an email from one of the writers, Jose Ratlet. Awesome guy. One of the main writers. He does all the like the Taco Chronicles and like the Taco writer out of Texas Monthly. And he contacted me and said, "Hey, I got a sign to do a story on you." I was like, "You got a sign?" I'm like, "That's pretty cool. That's pretty awesome." He's like, "I didn't know who you were, but I've been researching you." And he's like, "Your shirts are fucking amazing." I was like, "Dude, cool, thank you." And at first, I get probably, I don't know, 100 emails a day from, spam to people asking me donation, whatever it is. So I had to, kind of like, is this real? And sure enough, it was real. I got a call from him. They sent fact checkers down from New York to call me to go over everything. They
Holy
sent photographers down from Dallas and Austin. So it was about a 4-day ordeal where they sent people down to talk to me, do fact checking, do follow-up interviews.
Fact checking on what?
My interview. Basically, the fact checking was to where they did an interview with me, and they did an in person, and then they did a follow-up interview over the phone. The fact checking was one of their people in New York fact checking everything that we went over word for word. That it was what I said, the dates were what I said, everything, that nothing was added or taken out. That's kind of what it was. Yeah, because I didn't know what a fact checker was. I thought they were like, he graduated. He said he graduated here. Let's go look it up real quick. I mean, they were just making sure that it was accurate on everything before they release it. They sent, like I said, the photographers down. It was pretty cool. And then we took them. That was downstairs, and we took them upstairs to our studio where we make everything. And they took pictures of my girl sewing, and just kind of saw that aspect of it, which we love to bring customers and clients up there because it's not every day that you get to see people making shirts or jackets, especially jackets. During Christmas.
In America too.
It's so funny you say that. I messaged Bert Kreischer. I was drinking a bunch of whiskey the other night, and I messaged him, and I was like, "Hey, I have this idea," and I was like, "I think what if we did travels like across like the United States and interviewed people who are still making things in America?"
Mm-hmm.
And he didn't answer me back, but I was like, dude, what a great idea. Like a creator like me, somebody who makes things, and you have like an entertainer like him who team up like American Pickers, kind of like, but you're just kind of going and you're talking to people who are genuinely making things over there in that warehouse or down the street in that warehouse or upstairs or whatever it is. It's kind of that concept doesn't exist really anymore,
Not in the clothing market.
No.
Well, what happened? Did that give you a bump in business when
Big
it
time.
popped out?
Yeah. In fact, we're still feeling that. Yeah.
Damn.
We were told that we'd feel that for about 2 years, and we are. And it's not in this heavy duty, like instant gratification kind of feel, like boom, but it's you see the demographic of people who read that, and it's going to be kind of your mid-age to older people. And so we'll have a lot of people call me from Austin and from Houston and Dallas and order something over the phone after they read that.
That's wild. I didn't know that, and it's fun for me to go. I might have to change my language from stalking, but I go whenever I got a guest. I just kind of Google everything. I go back on their Facebook post just to see everything, so I can come up with talking points because I never done this shit. So I got to fill up a fucking hour. Which, to tell you the truth, every time that we've had people here, an hour goes by like that. And I look forward to these meetings. Like, this is like the best part of my week, planning for work.
This is fun. I mean, I told you this is my first one ever doing a podcast.
Well, the one thing that I was thinking of while you're on the way here too is that you're off work today.
Yeah, Mondays I close.
But you're working.
Yeah, my mom said the same thing. I was talking to her earlier. She's like, "You're gonna go do a podcast?" She's like, "You just got back from the doctor's office." I said, "Yeah." She goes, "That's your day off." I was like, Mom, it doesn't stop. You know, that's just
welcome
that's
to
normal. Yeah,
welcome to entrepreneurship.
I'll go pick up my princess after this, and then I'll go make dinner, and then
What's for dinner? I need a dinner idea.
I went and got ribs yesterday, so I'm gonna cook them low and slow for a while.
Do you like to cook or
Love to cook? Love to cook.
So one of our mutual buddies, Ernest Cervantes, and his business partner David Kirkland. I always call David on when I want to cook something, and so I'm a big pork chop guy.
Oh yeah.
But for those that don't know, and this is from a world-renowned cook. He doesn't want to be called a chef. He's a pit master. He doesn't like that either.
Some of the best pit masters have gotten awards. Yeah, they're amazing.
So I tell him how I cook my pork chops. He goes, "Oh, why don't you sear it and then leave it in the oven for 190 for about 3 hours?" Well, the thing is, that was a pork butt. You can have a pork steak or a pork butt, and it tastes completely different, like a different meal, just based on the amount of time of cooking it. That thing was so tender and perfect.
Really?
Oh yeah. So I've been experimenting with my pork chops and pork steaks, not pork butt, pork steaks, and you can get 4 different tasting
How thick
meals.
Are you getting a thick steaks?
They're an inch and a half, whatever they are.
Yeah.
They're good. And then Ernest actually, one day, this is a crazy story, and this goes into, who you talk to, who you run into. I walk into Burnt Bean one day, and I'm telling Ernest, I said, "Man, I had a crazy idea. I've been going to Nashville a lot, and I really like a Nashville hot chicken sandwich." This dude goes, "Oh, I got one right here for you. I got a recipe right here." I said, and for Ernest Cervantes to give you a recipe,
that's golden. That's like the Willy Wonka golden ticket right
is
there.
like, holy shit. And I'm going, "No way, dude." He goes, "I got it right here. I even got a picture." So I told him, "I'm wanting this sandwich that's not too hot with a little bit of honey." He goes, "I got it." He gave me the whole recipe, notes, and I said, "Ernest, can I put this on my menu?" He goes, "Absolutely." That thing has been selling.
Really?
Dude. And I told my dad after his first time trying it, and this one bite of this Nashville hot chicken sandwich at Beer House will just take you on an adventure.
Really?
There's sweet, there's spicy.
Chili oil? Is that what it is?
Oh yeah, we got hot oil on there. It's all made however he told me to make it. And I watch those cooks, and it is by his recipe, by the book.
Really?
Oh man. Thinly sliced onion rings on there, real thin. Man, he just hit the nail on the head, and I'm so thankful that he gave me that.
Jeez, man, that sounds amazing.
That's a good one. But anyway, I was looking for ideas for dinner. I'm just gonna go get my pork chop.
I'm making ribs, man. Nothing crazy. It'll be ribs, and then I don't even know what I'm gonna make for a side. Probably some macaroni. But other than that,
whatever Princess wants today. It's
yeah,
her day.
yeah, exactly.
All right, well, let's get out of here.
Thanks for having me, Tommy.
Dude,
this
I
was a
enjoyed
pleasure.
it. It was a lot of fun, and I look forward to it. I'm gonna have to go get some shirts some Guayaberas next week.
Yeah.
I still need my jacket.
Which jacket?
A jacket with like a whitetail fur on the inside.
We just got some. I should say this on the podcast.
It's
some
still on.
Mink and fur and chinchilla. One of our clients was in contact with a fur coat company in Dallas that went out of business, and so we got to purchase. I mean, literally mink coats, fur coats, and chinchilla coats that were literally being put together, and it was just like somebody said, "Stop what you're doing," and just stop. So we got like whole pieces. I've got whole pieces of fox with the head on, but then we also got like coats with like the sleeves already put together, panels, because it's like they just stopped in the middle of making everything all upstairs. And so we've been incorporating them. I started doing women's handbags at the end of last year. So we started making these alligator and mink handbags. So you can literally design jackets with rabbit, with mink and fur. In fact, we just did a children's leather jacket. Just this last week, and it has rabbit fur for the neck, and then for the wrist, the cuffs. So yeah, we're doing all sorts of just kind of exotic, Stepping into that luxury world of not just leather jackets anymore, but now we're going into like the handbags as well.
Where can people find all your information at?
So the store is located at 110 Broadway. That's going to be Suite 140, San Antonio, Texas 78205. And then our website's going to be it's lafoodwhore.com. Sounds a little off, but that's just what it was. We've had that same website since early mid 2000s, since living in Los Angeles. But on that website, you can find all of our Guayaberas and our leather jackets as well.
Sweet. All right. Well, I enjoyed it. Until next time, sir.
Thanks a lot, Tommy.
Yeah, thank you.